and welcome back to the Houston Texans franchise rebuild. Here today, we have our first off-season of this franchise rebuild. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I hope you're all having a great day. Please leave a like, comment down below what you thought of today, of the off-season, and don't forget to subscribe. So, man, it's the off-season. It's the time that every single fan base loves, because this is when we bring in free agents, we have a draft to get some youth towards this roster. So where should we start in today's action? Let's start with just some yearly awards. Let's look at that first and foremost. And then we've looked at stats, and then after the yearly awards, we'll go through the individual roster and kind of the different perspectives that we could be having here. But the MVP is Josh Allen, having a fantastic season, I'm presuming, in Buffalo. The Coach of the Year is Nick Sirianni from the Philadelphia Eagles. Let's go through the NFC very quickly. The NFC East Offensive Player of the Year, Ezekiel Elliott. Defensive Player of the Year, Micah Parsons. Of course, the two Dallas players. Romeo Doubs, Rookie of the Year, and Aiden Hutchinson, Defensive Rookie of the Year. Then you have Rodgers, Elliott, Kupp, Mason, Donald, Parsons, Booth, wow, and then Josh Lambo. So a couple names here. But in terms of the AFC, the Offensive Player of the Year is Nico Collins with his 2,000-yard campaign. What a year for him. He should go up a development trade, too. For Defensive Player of the Year, Max Crosby. Let's see if we have anyone else. So Derek Stingley made it into the top 10 as a rookie. For Offensive Rookie of the Year, it's Dameon Pierce with his over 1,000 yards and 18 touchdowns. He had a fantastic rookie year. And then we had no one else. And then Derek Stingley was the Defensive Rookie of the Year. So that's very good. Both of them could potentially go up a development trade as well. Josh Allen, best quarterback. Best running back is Jonathan Taylor. Pierce, number 2. Best receiver, Nico Collins. Wow. So those two players, again, continue to show why they're so dominant. Creed, best offensive lineman. And I believe Linovich actually did not make it into the, actually Linovich, I passed it. He was number 2. Wow. So he almost got best defensive lineman, and he only played half the season with us. Max Crosby, best linebacker. I don't think anyone of us would be there. Denzel Mims, best corner, beating out Derek Stingley and Steven Nelson, who was number 3. A little bit of a new name on this board. And then best kicker, no one there. So let's go through this roster and kind of where we kind of need to turn to and some questions that we have. So let's start at the quarterback position. Probably the biggest question mark of this offseason is, what do we do with number 10? What do we do with Davis Mills? And I am right now leaning more towards drafting a quarterback. And with our current draft position, our pick is number 12. I think we have to trade up and go get him. We have capital to do so, and there are players on this team that I'm willing to move off of. But for Davis Mills, see, the thing about Mills is simply this. It's not that he's a bad quarterback by any means. It's that he doesn't have the strongest arm. He's not an athletic quarterback. He's already going to enter into year 3, so he has 2 years left on his deal because he wasn't a first-round pick. And we would almost have to commit to him after that season. So I don't know if I'm going to pull the trigger just yet, but we just might have to elevate this team. There is a quarterback in this class that I really like. We'll talk about him a little bit later. In terms of the running back position, for simplicity reasons, I want to give Pierce a little bit of a break. If you guys don't know me, and typically in my franchises, I like to have 2 running backs, 2 to 3 backs that can rotate in and out. No matter how much I think Dameon Pierce can be a bell cow type of runner, I'm just looking to add in another running back to help this team out. So I'm looking more towards free agency, add a veteran to help him out, but who knows, we might have to turn to the draft. The cap might be a little interesting because of both Brandon Cooks and Tunsil's contracts go up significantly. When we turn to the wide receiver position, I want to draft a rookie in the first round, hopefully. Even though, yes, we have Brandon Cooks, Nico Collins with 2,000 yards. We're getting John Mitchie back who did not play at all his rookie season. But the thing is this, for both John and for Tyler Johnson, they are both normal development. They're not going to grow, and there's not a ton of speed on this team. I want someone who can be a burner. And with Collins and his height, I think he's going to be more of a red zone underneath type of receiver. You know, Brandon right now is our solid possession guy. John, I don't know what he is just yet. So got to figure out the receiver position. I think adding a playmaker would really help. In terms of the tight end, I'm mostly looking to maybe add a veteran to help out Brevin Jordan. I'm not looking to replace Brevin at all. I think he's a very good tight end. You know, even at a 72 overall, he has good hands, he has good speed, he has everything that you really kind of want from an athletic standpoint. I just think we need a blocking type of tight end. This is the other major question mark entering into this season, is Tunsil and this offensive line. In my opinion, we have 3 starters if we keep Tunsil. So it would be Tunsil, Andre Diller, and Green. But, you know, with Tunsil's contract, and this is the significance of it, Tunsil's contract goes up to $30 million once we hit free agency. It goes up to $35 million here. What do we do with that? He let out 14 sacks. I quickly went past 14 sacks. He struggled this season. There was some games that he didn't allow anything, but he allowed multiple sacks when he struggled. And, you know, that cap hit at 28, 29 years old, can we really keep him? That's going to be the question mark. I am looking to draft an offensive lineman in this up-and-coming draft class. I think that's important. Maybe we'll add a veteran too, to help out the running game. That's kind of where I'm leaning on. I'm kind of leaning on in terms of free agency is to help out the offensive line a little bit and getting a running back, because I think our running game is our biggest advantage. But with both AJ Cann and Justin Britt, they're both getting older. They're not going to get any better, and we're going to have to figure those 2 spots out. And then for Titus Howard, his cap hit goes up to $13 million. We're probably going to move off of him. I have a list right in front of me of players that I'm probably going to be cutting or trading, and their trade value, in my opinion, it's, you know, with like Titus Howard, for an example, I would probably only get like a 5th round pick in terms of realism. For the pass rushing positions, you know, Chase Linovich, we did pay him, so we're going to definitely start him. And pass rush is going to be interesting in this up and coming season. You know, we might stick with both Chase and Jonathan as our 2 ends. You know, Jonathan on this side, I think he had 7 sacks and a couple tackles for loss, you know, 7 and 7. You know, he looked good. And then Linovich here, you know, he went out there, I think he put up 16 or close to. He got 9 tackles for loss and 14.5 sacks. You know, I think if we can get similar production from the 2 of them, I'm okay with these 2 ends. Now, doesn't mean that I wouldn't try to draft a rookie or assign a veteran. But right now, both of these spots are kind of filled unless I really feel like it. In terms of the interior, this is where I think a lot of change is probably going to happen here. You know, Malik Collins' contract goes up to $10 million. He's another player that I'm considering moving off of. You know, Lopez here, he's a good run stopper. He posted up 4 sacks. He's an okay player, but I think we need some veteran help in this interior, and hopefully we're able to do so. You know, that's gonna be the main focus, is stopping the run. It's getting our ground game to the next level and getting our run stopping to the next level. Linebacker's a very interesting one because, you know, we're getting Christian Harris back, who I really like. I think he's going to be a good player with 90 speed. I'm so sorry. 90 speed. Where is he? 90 speed. I think he has like 68 zone coverage, 78 tackle. You know, for an all-around linebacker, you know, for me, he's going to be a day 1 starter if he's healthy. Absolutely. We just have to get him a partner in crime. And maybe it's Christian Kirksey. He's still under contract. If we bring back Blake Cashman, maybe it's him. Who knows right now? But I'm looking to either add a veteran or a rookie to help this team out. In terms of the secondary, this is kind of where this is something that we can't in terms of corners, we can't just not do anything about. You know, Nelson had 6 interceptions. Derek Stingley had 9, I believe. I think Derek Stingley had 9. Off the top of my head, yeah, he had 9. You know, these are two quality corners. But Desmond King is not a boundary corner. He's more of a slot guy. We need someone kind of like Derek on the other side of things. So hopefully we're able to do that too. So we can't really underlook that. And then at safety, Jalen Peachy, he's the starter for next year. We're fine there. For MJ Stewart, we gave him a 2-year contract extension. I will still be looking for a safety in this up and coming off season. But MJ, for right now, he's the starter. We'll see. For specialists, you know, Fairbairn, he had an okay year. I'm probably going to move off of both of these two guys if we can, just to save some money. Maybe we draft 2 rookies or something like that. I don't know just yet. But again, I'm not going to force any issues here. These are our draft picks. Cleveland made it into the postseason, so we'll see where this pick ends up being. But we have a second, 3 third-round picks, a 4th, a 6th, and a 7. So we have no 5th-round pick, but we have 3 third-round picks to be aggressive. And that's what I'm planning on being in this up-and-coming draft. As we have made it to the Pro Bowl, and you guys can see the Las Vegas Raiders and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have made it to the Super Bowl. Let's quickly check out the playoff bracket just to see how we got to this point. So, wow, the Colts made a big dent. The Colts were the number 2 seed and got all the way to the AFC Championship game and lost out. But ultimately, the Raiders, as the 6th seed, beat the Dolphins, beat the Chiefs, and then beat the Colts to make it to the Super Bowl. For Tampa, they were the number 1 seed, beating the Rams, then the Packers, then getting to the Super Bowl. So it's the number 1 seed versus the number 6 seed in this Super Bowl. So that's very cool. But let's go check out the Pro Bowl list. Let's go see if we have any players. We probably should. So the only team that I'm going to focus on is the AFC. So no quarterback. We did get Pierce. We got our fullback. Collins made it. Let's see if there's anyone else. Maybe an offensive lineman. Probably not. Linovich made it. Wow. So we have 2 Pro Bowlers right now off the top of my head. Anyone else? We should have Derek Stingley. And that should be it. So we had 3 Pro Bowlers. Wow, what a job. Good job, team. So they should get some extra XP. Let's go sim to the Super Bowl. Let's go sim past this. Let's go to the Super Bowl week and see who wins. And into the 2022 season, the Super Bowl winner is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady gets his 2nd ring as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. I think that's his 8th Super Bowl ring. The MVP was Devin White, and you guys can see a little bit of the Offensive Player of the Years and the Defensive Player of the Years. We have 3 players. We have Collins, Pierce, and Nelson. 3 very young players. Collins is entering into year 3. Pierce and Stingley are both entering into year 2. So there's a lot of hope here in Houston. But we do have some upgrading to do. But before we look at that, let's just quickly take a little peek at the roster. Let's see if we have any new development traits, and we do. Dameon Pierce went up to superstar development. That is huge for the 2nd-year running back. That should really help him out. He got a skill point. But for the 2,000-yard receiver, he only went up to star dev. Wow, but he did get 3 skill points. We'll go through those very quickly here in a moment. But he got up. Those were 2 players. I don't think I saw anyone else getting up development. On the defensive side of the ball, Derek Stingley went up to superstar development. And I think that's it. So we got a couple more gold players and a couple more star dev players. Let's quickly go through the upgrading. And here we'll start with Dameon Pierce. He has 1 upgrade, and for him, I kind of just want to work on his receiving back. Doesn't move him up an overall. It will help out his catching, his short route running, catching traffic. Really like that upgrade. You know, he's a good receiver out of the backfield, but just making him a little bit better. We'll move on to for Derek Stingley here, who is more of a man-to-man cover corner. I'm thinking we're gonna actually work on slot for him this time around. Maybe get a mixture of both. It does bump him up an overall. We get 3 skill points, man coverage and tackling. That's really good. So his man coverage, he's a good man cover corner. So got to remember that when we play the games. And then finally, the man, the myth, the legend, Nico Collins with his 2,000-yard campaign. But hey, we have to put that behind us. It's up to a new season and he needs to go out there and produce again. And there's higher expectations for him in this up and coming season. For his 3 skill points, we'll start with one with a deep threat. That should move him up to like a 77 overall, getting some +2 route running. Then we're gonna move to physical. I wanna get out some more, get his hands better, get some maybe release. We got +3 release, that's really good. And then finally, we'll just work on playmaker, get some of those secondary positional groups working so we get some juke, short route running. And after those 3 upgrades, very happy with that. Still, I don't know how to improve route running in this game. There's not like a route running archetype, so I don't know what the best one is. Let me know down below what you guys use. But hey, he has good hands. He has better release now. I think Nico Collins will have another good season. And right here, let's talk a little bit about the draft. Why not? Let's quickly go through this, how we want to approach this draft class, and we'll go position by position here. Just with actually, I'm just gonna highlight some of my favorite players in terms of targets. Let's start at the quarterback position. And I've been saying this since day one. Well, there's one quarterback that I really like. You know, Zach Franks here, he's a top 5 talent. I'm not thinking about him. Same with Ryan Bradshaw, same with Charlie Gardland. You know, these 3 quarterbacks I like, but they're all field generals. I think if we're gonna get a quarterback, we need someone with mobility. And that to me is Mason Pryor out of Ball State here, 6'3", 21 years old, left-handed too, which is surprising. I really like Mason here. He has good to great throw power. He looks like a good athlete. To me, right now, with just the little knowledge that I do know of him, I think that I just like Mason as an overall prospect. You know, Mason's my guy, I guess you would say. And to give you guys basically my philosophy in terms of the draft, and most teams have this, is that if you have a quarterback that you really like, you go up and go get him. It's just like the Chiefs back in 2017 or 2018. I don't remember when Patrick Mahomes was drafted. You know, the Chiefs went up, traded up for their guy. Everyone sat back and was surprised that they made that type of move to go get a quarterback. If you like a quarterback, you draft him. You know, I'm a Giants fan, and a lot of people ask me if I like Daniel Jones. It's not that I like Daniel Jones, it's just that I rationally can understand the draft pick. They liked him, you know, over all the other quarterbacks in a weak quarterback class. So, you know, to me, I like Mason Pryor. If I have the opportunity to go get him, I'm gonna go get him. But let's talk about the receiver position. I've talked about him a couple times now, and that's Paul Wilkerson here. Again, 21 years old, 6 foot, but I think from a route running perspective and from a speed perspective, that's what I'm looking at here. I want someone that can fly as an athlete, and I think Paul Wilkerson can do that for our team. I think he could add a little bit of more of a dynamic to our offense that we've been missing, and I think Paul can provide that for our team. In terms of the offensive line, in this draft class, there are 9 right tackles that I believe and I think there's going to be 5 that go in the first round. We need to hit on one of these guys. We need to draft at least one of these guys. I like Ross Finley a lot. I think he's going to be a very good tackle guard. You know, we looked at Kanan Flowers here. He looks very good. All of these are very good tackles, and I think we need to draft at least one of them to help the team out. Finally, let's go to pass rusher. My favorite pass rusher is Zach Perman here. Perman here is 22 years old, but you know, none of those are really covering from an athletic standpoint. He's very good in terms of strength, in terms of speed. He would be a guy that I would go get. He has A finesse moves, C to F power moves. So as a finesse rusher, I'm assuming his power moves is more like a D So if his finesse moves are like a 75, you know, his power moves might be like a 68, 67, and that would be very good to start out in terms of the first round. You know, in terms of off-ball linebackers, I've talked about John Duke a lot. I don't really, I think there's one more player that I really like. Roman Nova here was the day 3 player. His A-zone covers, 22 years old, 6 foot, an athletic linebacker. That's kind of what we're looking at here. And I think Nova here would be a very good prospect for our team. In terms of corners, Andrew McLean here, talked about him a lot. 6'4", very good. You know, everyone else here, I just don't think this is a good corner class. So, in my opinion, if we're drafting a corner, we're going after Andrew, or we're gonna go out there and sign a veteran. I think that's it. In terms of safeties, just didn't find anyone that I liked. There might be someone, I don't know just yet, but who knows. But of course, we have to talk about the fullback position here. My favorite fullback here is Christian Thomas. Thomas here will probably draft with our 7th round pick. From an athletic standpoint, he's a good athlete. You know, you guys know me. I love my fullbacks. I love my fullback dies. I think he would be a good player to help out our team. And, you know, who knows? We'll probably draft him. Well, we finally have hit the off season after 20 minutes of me just rambling. So let's quickly go through this. Let's go through retirements before we talk about re-signing or anything. We have 2 players retired on our team, Mario Addison and Rex Perfect. Both players really didn't have much of a role. Let's see if there's any other premier players. Jason Campbell retired, Devin McCourty. There's a few others, you know, Brown here, he retired. Mason Crosby, Jason Pierre-Paul, Trent Williams retired. Wow. They're going to need a left tackle. So the Niners kind of become a team that we could trade with. Jason Kelsey, Brandon Graham, Melvin Ingram, Jason Peters. There's a lot of players, a lot of big names here that are retiring. And entering into this up and coming off season, we have $73 million to work with. We have 22-ish players to consider bringing back. And let's start let's start with Blake Cashman here. You know, Cashman, 27 years old. He's a 74 overall. I know he's a good cover corner, or cover linebacker, excuse me. He doesn't really have interest in coming back. He turned down our first offer. I'm still wanting him to come back. Now, 2 years, $6 million is probably about the amount that I would pay him. I enjoyed playing for you, but I think free agency would be better. So Cashman is a player that I will consider bringing back. I am not franchising tagging him. None of these players I'm going to look to tag, but Cashman as a player, I will look to bring back. For the rest of these veterans here, I just don't think that we need to bring these guys back. You know, I brought in Wayne Gallman, Alec Ogletree to help the team out a little bit, but you know, they didn't really have premier roles. You know, OJ Howard, we'll just let him test. I think there's only one more player that I'm looking to bring back, and that is Bobby Johnson, who is an off-ball linebacker that we brought in by the end of the season. For Bobby, you know, he's more of a run-stopping linebacker. You know, I'm willing to make him this offer, but I'm going to bump him down a little bit. You know, 2 years, $4 million, and he stays. So we get Bobby Johnson, a solid depth linebacker. But for everyone else, we'll test. And we'll go into this offseason with $71 million. So maybe we keep Tunsil. You know, I didn't know if we would have this much cash to work with. And if we didn't, I would probably have to move off of him. Well, we have 47 players on the active roster. And let's go quickly through this roster here. And let's just make some cuts. I want to trim up the fat of this team a little bit. So the first player we're going to move off of is Tyson Howard. He's a bust first round pick. He's not strong enough for me as a tackle and even as a guard. You know, I probably could get a solid draft pick, maybe like a 4th round pick. I'm just not looking to, you know, fuck the system over or screw the CPU or the computer over. So we'll save $13 million by cutting him. The next player is Eric Murray here at strong safety. didn't really play a lot, you know. He's not the best cover safety. I don't like his coverage ratings. You know, he's 29 years old. We're gonna save a few $1,000,000 here, about 4 actually. So we'll save $4 million by cutting Eric. Well, this is our first look at potential free agents. We have $90 million after making all those cuts, and Tom Brady is out there, and of course we should bring him in. No, we're not bringing in Tom. I think the first thing that we should look at is on the defensive line. In terms of playmakers, you know, there's Jadeveon Clowney here. You know, there's actually a lot of solid players. Clowney is probably the most upgraded, you know, type of player in terms of a pass rusher. So, you know, there's Clowney. Let's quickly go to the other side. Marcus Davenport here, you know, right now 3 teams. He's not interested in coming here. You know, Akeem Hicks, you know, he could play, you know, in our scheme, he would play defensive tackle. So that would be interesting. Puna Ford, he would be another player that could be interesting. Barnett here, Derek Barnett, you know, he's young. I don't know. Does it show me his age? I don't even know. I think I have to click on him. 27 years old. Okay, you know, maybe not for Derek. Let's see at the outside spots. You know, there's a few players, you know, Anthony Barr, he would be an interesting player. So in terms of a pass rusher, you know, I would like to bring in Cashman. No one's out there. So let's actually quickly make an offer here for Cashman. And because he rejected me, you know, we're going to bump it down, make it a 2-year, $8 million. We're going to potentially save $4 million. Actually, no, let's withdraw from this. We'll do that later. Let's see defensive tackle. Javar Hargrave is out there. Matt Ioannidis, Linval Joseph. So one thing that we have to sit here and consider is that we went 1-5 within our division. And unless Jacksonville kept James Robinson, and they didn't. So within our division, there's Derrick Henry, there is Jonathan Taylor, and Travis Etienne. We need help across the interior of our defensive line. And I do think bringing in a guy like a Javar Hargrave would help in terms of both pass rushing and run stopping, and going after a guy like Akeem Hicks. I think these are the 2 players we should target here. Let's start with Akeem Hicks here. He would be, in our scheme, a more of a defensive tackle. So we're going to make this a 1-year, $12 million. Actually, we're going to make it 2 years, $24 million. That should give us a little bit more interest. He is kind of a band-aid for 2 seasons, but hey, you know, we're trying to get some wins. You know, we're trying to get over the hump here. And I think Akeem Hicks could help us out a lot. On the other side, let's bring in Javar Hargrave. You know, he's more of a pass rusher, but we'll also make this a 2-year deal, and we're going to kind of make it a similar type of contract. 2 years, $24 million to help out the interior of our defensive line. I think that's smart. And then we'll go after, maybe we'll go after Linval Joseph as well. That's overkill. We'll save Linval just in case if we can't get anyone. Take a look at some of these offensive linemen now. You got Jack Conklin. Okay, he would be actually a very good upgrade. Nate Davis. This is an interesting one. He could really improve our running game here. You know, you got Eric McCoy. That would be another good upgrade. Davis and Edwards here. He would be another good upgrade. I really like Nate Davis. I think he's an underrated guard. He is star dev. You know, he doesn't want a ton of money, and we could steal him from the Titans, and I'm kind of willing to make this a 4-year deal. 4 years, $40 million. Yeah, let's bring in Nate Davis. Let's try to help out our running game even more. And speaking of backs, I kind of want to add a veteran here. You know, there are a lot of good veterans. You got Kareem Hunt and James Robinson, but I think these 2 guys are more bell cow type of runners. I really like Tony Pollard. I think Tony Pollard out of this group here would be very interesting to come in here for 3 years and play behind, you know, Damian Pierce and be a quality like secondary type of runner. So let's make it this a 3-year, $20 million. We'll bump that up just a tad bit. You know, Tony Pollard would be really good. So right now, let's just quickly look at our free agent potentials right here. We're right now targeting Javar Hargrave. We are number 1 there. Tony Pollard, we're the only offer here. Akeem Hicks and Nate Davis. 4 players that would help out the interior. So let's quickly, before we have one more in terms of this period, you know, it's safety. You know, you got Logan Ryans, Anthony Harris, Jabril Peppers. That would be fun. Mike Edwards. You know, we do need a strong safety. You know, there are a few safeties out here that I do like. I don't know just yet. You know, Jameel Dean here, he would be a very good outside corner. Same with Bradbury. You know, Bradbury doesn't have any interest. Chris Harris. You know, you got AJ Boyd here. You know, there's a few good players. You know, Greedy Williams, 25. He is young. You know, Greedy, and he is 6'2". He would be my type of corner that I would want. Same with Eli Apple. So maybe we go after a corner with our last spot. Let's see, off-ball linebacker, you know, Rashad Evans. You know, that would be kind of fun. You know, Evans is a good kind of more of a run stopper, but he would be a fun player next to him. He is more of a veteran, and he is interested in coming here. Maybe he's the next period. I mean, in terms of pass rushing, Marcus Davenport is probably the best pass rusher out there for our team. Let's look at his ratings here. You know, he has good speed, solid strength, he has good power and finesse moves. So Marcus Davenport could be the most fun. I mean, how much is this going to eat up? He wants 3 years. I mean, Marcus could come in here and be our #1 pass rusher, and we wouldn't have to try to draft someone. But again, it's trying to get him to come to this team. You know, I just don't know if I really want Marcus. Man, this is tough. I mean, Clowney, try to have a reunion with Javion Clowney. You know, we could go after another veteran offensive lineman, or we could bring in a tight end. We haven't even talked about that. Dawson Knox, Evan Ingram, Max Williams. I think in terms of blocking, Max Williams is my guy. So, but we don't have to do that now. In terms of wide receiver, which we haven't even looked at, you know, Beckham, Calvin Ridley. I just don't want to pay a veteran. I think right now, in terms of quarterbacks, for any of you guys who are interested, Baker Mayfield would be the guy that I would target, but I'm just not going to. I would rather draft a rookie than bring in Baker Mayfield. So, in my opinion, I think we either go after, you know, a player like Jabril Peppers, bump him over to strong safety, and then that would be a fun safety and tandem out there. Or we go out there and get a guy like a Greedy Williams. Let's go with Jabril Peppers. Peppers here would be a very fun safety to play with. He has interest in coming to this roster. We'll bump up the money a little bit, and I think he would be a very good player. We bump him to strong safety. So we're really helping out our defense. Like I said, that's what we're going to be doing here in free agency. So Javon Hargrave, Tony Pollard, Jabril Peppers, Akeem Hicks, and Nate Davis. And let us evaluate. So we got Tony Pollard, we got Akeem Hicks, and we got Nate Davis. So the only player out of this group was Javon Hargrave that did not sign. Where did Hargrave go? Let's see. And he went to the Pittsburgh Steelers, signing a 1-year contract. We gave him a multi-year deal, but we did help out our run stopping. We helped out our running game significantly. And right now, Jabril Peppers has a lot more interest, so we'll bump up this offer, but we can still talk about other free agent potential signings. Let's look around the league and think about it. We'll make this a 3-year, $30 million contract. I'm willing to go that high for Jabril. I think he's going to be a good player for our team. In terms of other players, you know, Baker, he went to Atlanta, so they got a new single caller. I'm just not thinking about drafting a wide receiver. I think we should go after Max Williams. So we'll offer Max Williams a 1-year deal. 1 year, $5 million. That's fine with me. In terms of other offensive linemen, for right now, I don't think I'm going to target anyone. But in terms of a pass rusher, and because Javar didn't accept, maybe we go after now Linval Joseph and just beef it up. You know, we'll offer him this 1 year, $7 million or $8 million. I think Joseph would be a very good partner in crime to Akeem Hicks. So we'll go after him. And now let's look at linebacker. That's a spot we haven't talked about. Anthony Barr, he's gone. Let's try to get Blake Cashman here before someone scoops him up. Bump it up a little bit. 2 years, $9 million. What's his interest level? Okay, he has more interest with us. But Rashad Evans, he was the guy that I was interested in coming in here. I'm not going to give him that long-term of a contract, though. We'll give him a 2-year, $14 million. And now how much money do we have? $28 million. And that is all the players we can go after. So we've yet to target a corner. So corner is the one spot. Did Greedy Williams sign? Not yet. Let's evaluate this spot here. And see if we can get any of these new players to come to this team. What the fuck did I click? Okay, let's see. Let's see if we got any new players coming to this team. Contracts, oh, okay. So we have 2 players who did not sign. Let's see. Peppers is here in Houston. We get Rashad Evans and we get Linval Joseph. So we got a couple more new players here. And we're still targeting Max Williams as well as Cashman. I don't want to lose Cashman and I don't want to raise the offer too much more. But I will just a little bit. We'll make it a 2 years, $10 million. But let's go check corner real quick because that's like the last spot. So, you know, it would be Greedy Williams or no one. There's one team interested right now in Williams. So let's make this a competitive offer here. Maybe we get a new boundary corners, a 2-year deal I would be willing to do for him. 2 years, about $13 million. And we're right now tied with Dallas. So let's evaluate again and see where we are. And we did get Greedy Williams. So we brought in Williams. We've really boosted this defense. Max Williams still debating in terms of available targets. You know, there's a bunch of wide receivers out here. I'm just not looking to go after anyone. I'm not looking to go after a kicker either. I think a lot of this we can fill within the draft. Well, actually, there could be a wide receiver that I want, and that is Sterling Shepard. Shepard was, out of all these receivers in terms of a veteran, I actually really liked. So maybe we'll offer a 1-year deal for Sterling Shepard, just to try to bring him in here. Actually, Shepard's contract demands it's just way too high, and we only have $26 million to work with. Yeah, maybe we hold off a wide receiver. I would still like to add in a veteran, but I think for now, well, okay, let's sim to the next week. And we did not get Blake Cashman after we simmed to the next week, so we could use another linebacker, to be honest. I just don't think that any of these guys would be really that good. You know, Kenny Young would be interesting. Let's just look from his zone coverage. You know, Jordan Hicks, you know, none of these guys are kind of young. That would be kind of something I would look for. You know, Kenny Young here would be a young off-ball linebacker, but maybe not. Now, Quincy Williams here, he would be interesting because he has good speed and I know he has good coverage ability, but I just don't think we're going to go after him. From pass rushing, Jose Zimenez would be interesting, but I don't think we will. Defensive tackle, well, we've helped out this defensive line a ton today. We haven't added a pass rusher. We've added an offensive lineman to help out. If we're going to do anything, it would just to be adding some depth to the team. Right now, you know, we're trying to get Max Crosby, or Max Williams, excuse me. In terms of wide receivers, you know, there is a player out here that I like and I think we should target him. I think we should just give him this 1-year deal. You know, 1 year for DJ Chark from both speed, height, and age. A 1-year prove-it deal with us. I think that would be interesting. And then I think we should go after a quarterback. You know, Jacoby Brissett, Taylor Heineke. I think we go after Tyler Huntley here. You know, Huntley, 25 years old. You know, we'll give him a 2-year deal. He would be that fun quarterback that we can just throw out here with a little wildcat action. You know, Huntley could add a little bit of a dynamic to our offense that we just don't have. So we'll go after DJ Chark. We'll see if he can come in here. Max Williams and Tyler Huntley. And we did get Max Williams, and we did get Tyler Huntley. So now we have a backup quarterback. We have our number 2 tight end. But DJ Chark has a lot more interest now. I just don't, and I'm not willing to go really more than that. I kind of want a 1-year prove-it deal. And in terms of any other wide receivers that I'm kind of keening in on, he would be really the guy. So do I go more than I really want to, or do we sit back and just hope we can draft a player? You know, Zach Pascal would be the other guy that I guess I would target, but again, he's more of a slot receiver. Let's just see. We'll offer him a 1-year deal. Let's just see if we can get one of these 2 veterans to come to this roster. And right now, sitting on $10 million, we didn't get what's his name, DJ Chark, Zach Pascal. We're just gonna withdraw from Pascal's contract. We have $24 million. Let's talk about the draft now. I think we've done enough in free agency. Let's sim to the next week and talk about the draft a little bit. So as we look at our current roster right now, yes, we need to fill it out with some depth pieces, and we have the money to do so. The interesting thing is this, you know, I think going into this draft in terms of an offensive perspective, you know, drafting an offensive lineman, you know, getting one of those tackles and then moving either Green or Nate Davis to center would be really good. You know, Justin Britt can be our 6th lineman with AJ Can, and then I think we keep Tunsil for another season. I think that would be fine in terms of an offensive line. Tight end is basically secured. We add a rookie, and then what do we do at quarterback? I don't know just yet. You know, right now how this off season has gone, it looks like we're gonna keep Davis Mills, but I don't know just yet. Mills is going to be a topic while we enter into this draft process. In terms of the defense right now, you know, linebacker is probably the biggest pressing need. You know, Christian Harris and Rashad Evans kind of make up that little duo with Christian Kirksey as that other linebacker. But we could add another linebacker in this up and coming draft. You know, we could look at a pass rusher. You know, I think we got the secondary figured out. I think we got our guys. You know, MJ Stewart as the backup safety. You know, we could add another depth corner. Desmond King as basically the 4th corner. So we have depth in terms of the secondary. So right now, I guess it's linebacker, pass rusher, and, you know, an offensive lineman, a wide receiver, and maybe a quarterback. A lot of big needs. So what needs do we fill within this draft class? But there are combined results to look at. You know, I think when we look at it from a combine standpoint, we're just mostly looking. Let's look at wide receiver real quick. Let's just look at our favorite receiver, and that is Paul Wilkerson here. Let's just look at this. Oh, wow. 4.2 speed. I mean, elite speed. I think this really moves him up in my board, and it makes him both from an athlete and just from an overall prospect. Paul Wilkerson is becoming more and more my guy to pair up with Nico Collins. I think that would be a lot of fun. Let's look at just another receiver that I did write down, and that's John Pounds here, also 21 years old, slot receiver. Great speed, 4.4 speed. Okay, that's still solid. That's still good. You know, that's not terrible, but it's not the type of speed that I'm looking for. The other receiver that I like was Carl Graham here. 23 years old, more of a physical guy, good speed, 4.2 speed. Probably not the fastest due to the physical archetype, but still like Paul. And then my quarterback, let's see what type of 40 he ran. Well, he's the fastest quarterback in this draft class. He has great throw power. I think if we want a mobile quarterback, we go after Mason. I think that's what we do if we want a mobile quarterback. I guess that's the decision we'll have to make during draft time. Well, this is the free agency recap here. All players. So Tom Brady's going back to New England. Kareem Hunt's going to the Miami. Beckham going to New York, but not the New York Giants, to the New York Jets. Robinson going to Atlanta. Ridley going to San Francisco. We saw, wow, Pittsburgh spent big money. Shepard going to San Francisco. Marcus Davenport going to New England too. Clowney, wow, there's a lot of spenders. Ingram staying in Jacksonville. There's a lot of moves here. A lot of big names moving around in this league. Surprised to see Brady going back to his team. And if we just look at the wide receiver position, you know, there's not too many players that I like that's still out there. But who knows? We might be able to snag a player on a 1-year contract. We should, just for a veteran and in terms of preseason football. But we do have the mock draft 5 as well as private workouts. Let's quickly look at the mock draft 5. We have right now the 11th overall pick and the 26th overall pick. So as we see here, there's a quarterback going to Detroit, Zach Franz, potentially. They're projecting him going there. Thomas Graves here. Zach Perman, he's my favorite pass rusher going into the top 4. So that would be interesting. A couple quarterbacks, and they're projecting us to draft a fullback, so that's fantastic. But our guy could fall to us. So the question is, do we stay put and hope that our quarterback stays there? And they're projecting Mason to go at 25, and they're having us draft a center. Probably not going to do that. But this is a very interesting and very different type of draft mock here than the previous mocks that I've looked at. You know, there's a few tackles here. I think I counted 4 or 5. But hey, it's going to be interesting in terms of draft day if we decide to trade up. And if we do, we're going to go get our quarterback. And welcome to the 2023 NFL Draft. Now, if you guys have never seen an off-season, I typically go through the entire first round, going through each player, and then we kind of sim and go a little faster in the later rounds. But we take our time here in the first round. And here's the thing. You know, when we talk about this team, and let's just look at this roster real quick, you know, are we really committed to quarterback Davis Mills? I think with the moves we did in free agency, you know, I think we're kind of leaning more towards in that direction here. I like Mason as a quarterback. The thing is this about Davis Mills, and I know what a lot of you guys will sit here and say to me is that, you know, he threw over 30 interceptions. Why are you going to go into next season with him as your starter? It's not that I want him to be my starter. Is that I think right now we stayed pat at 11. We stayed pat at 11 and 26, and maybe we move up in the later 20s. And if at 11 Mason falls to us, we draft him. If he doesn't, you know, then we don't get him. For now, I think we need to draft a tackle. I think there's other pressing needs that I think we can go into. The thing is this, we won 8 games with Davis Mills, and we just improved this roster massively. So, and this team is only going to get better. I think the thing is this, if Mason falls to us at 11, we take him. If not, then hey, maybe that's just my fault. But here in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions have the first overall pick, and they select Zach Franz here, quarterback out of Oregon. Good quarterback here, good quarterback draft class here with the number 2 overall pick. The Seattle Seahawks, Thomas Graves here, the top pass rusher out of Wisconsin, so adding to their defensive line. The Atlanta Falcons are up next. Austin Olsen out of Notre Dame. I think he's another pass rusher. Washington here's on the clock. Zach Perman goes here, my favorite pass rusher. Here at number 5, the LA Chargers, Keenan Caleb out of Washington. So 2 linebackers, or 2 players out of Washington have gone in the top 5. Jerry Haynes, one of the top tackles, goes here to Tennessee, so that's big. The Baltimore Ravens here, they draft a guard here, helping out Lamar. The Cardinals are on the clock. They draft another tackle here, Connor Rivers. The New York Football Giants here, do they keep Daniel Jones? No, they go with Ryan Bradshaw here out of Nebraska here. So they just drafted a quarterback. And Cincinnati, they don't draft quarterbacks. They don't need one. They have Joe Burrow here. And Carl Graham. Wow, that receiving core just got even better. They still have Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, and what's his name? I forget the other receiver name. Oh God. Please do not flame me in the comment section. I am terrible at remembering names here. But they added, and Jamar Chase here. They just added another receiver here. Frick. What are they going to do now with T. Higgins? He's in a contract season. But we're on the clock here at the 11th overall pick. The first pick here in the Houston Texans franchise rebuild, as all the players are not loading in. Here we go. You know, a lot of players are on my board still. You know, the top pass rushers are gone. There's still plenty of tackles here. And I think this pick is very straightforward here. There's a quarterback that you want, you draft him. And here, with the first pick in the Houston Texans franchise rebuild, we're gonna go with a left-hander, Mason Pryor out of Ball State, 21 years old, and he's coming in out here with hidden development here. I have no idea his development rate. 92 throw power, 84 speed. He's a good athlete here. And Mason Pryor, he is the first ever quarterback that I have drafted in the first round. And he has become our guy. And now Jacksonville here is on the clock. What direction do they go into? They go Russ Finley. He was my favorite tackle, and they just helped out their offensive line. The Panthers draft Caleb Gilmore, another pass rusher, more of a run stopper. Patriots are now on the clock here. Who they draft? They got Kyle Blankens. He's a wide receiver. The Jets add DJ Ritchie, the best left tackle in this class. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers add Michael Flick, the right tackle, another tackle. There's a lot of tackles expected to go here. And surprise, surprise here. The Minnesota Vikings drafted Charlie Grainlane here. Or Charlie, excuse me. Kirk Cousins, is he out the door? Who knows? The Philadelphia Eagles draft Harry Crow out of Washington State. Wow, they drafted a safety. And now the Seattle Dion George here out of Florida, another tackle. There's so many tackles here, and this is why if we want an offensive lineman, we need to draft one. Chicago's on the clock here at the 20th overall pick. Chris Gibson here at wide receiver. Buffalo's on the clock here. And DeMarcus Smith here, and they just replaced Knox there with that pick. Dallas drafted Ross Langford, an outside linebacker. Miami here, who did they go with? Walton Ash, defensive tackle. He's one of my favorite defensive tackles in this class, but we added two veterans. Philadelphia's back on the clock here. Who did they go with? Andrew McClain, the corner, the 6'4" corner. So they just boosted their secondary here with this draft class. And Detroit picked before us, Justin Stern here out of Oklahoma. Now we're back on the clock here. And what do you do with this pick here? And let's go see the board. So we don't need quarterback anymore. We're not looking to draft a wide or a running back. You know, my favorite wide receivers on the board and Paul Wilkerson. And, you know, right now that's the pick I'm leaning towards. But, you know, I've talked about for a while now, there needs to be we need a press for a tackle in some sort. I like Flowers here. Booth would be another good tackle. You know, in terms of pass rushing, I think a lot of these guys that I like, you know, Mike Anderson, he's more of a run stopper, more of a D tackle in our scheme. You know, there wasn't really another pass rusher. Now, the defensive tackle that I liked was Von Temple here. I've talked about him a few times, but again, I just don't think we need to go after him right now. Middle linebacker, we could draft John Duke here and give Christian Harris a partner in crime. That would be cool. Same with Chase Hunt, to be honest. Two very good off-ball linebackers. And like I said, there isn't really any players in this secondary that I really, really like. So I think right here with this pick, we need to go a tackle. And I think we go with Tevin Booth here. You know, I know he's a day 2 to a day 3 talent, but 21 years old. He has awareness, you know, pretty much who knows, you know, he's going to have good blocking. He might not, none of these tackles were strong, but Booth here, Tevin Booth, I think he could play guard for us in his first season. And we put, you know, Nate Davis or Green at center and Booth at either a tackle or guard. And that kind of fixes up this offensive line. So Tevin Booth here with the 26th overall pick is our selection. And he has 81 strength, but also hidden development here. The 81 strength does concern me, but if he does decide, if we keep him at guard, I mean, that is the low end in terms of my favorite strength in terms of guards. But Booth here with hidden dev, it kind of fixes everything. So here, I kind of want to trade with Miami. You know, I kind of want to move up here. Let's go to the trade center. And I just don't want to let this, I don't want to let him go any further than he already has been. And I just don't want to miss out on this prospect. So we're going to give them our 2nd round pick. We're going to give him a 3rd and a 4th and see if we can trade up here to the 27th overall pick. And I think we all know the guy that I want to get. And let's see if this works. It does. We made the trade. So we lose out on a 3rd. We lose out on our 4th and our 2nd. But we move up here to this 27th overall pick. And who are we going to go after? Well, we're going to go after a playmaker. We need to help out our offense even more. And with 3 picks here in the 1st round, we will be going after Paul Wilkerson here out of Texas A&M here. 6 foot, 21 years old with A catch or A deep route running, B release. Paul Wilkerson is our pick. 98 speed but with normal development. Wow. But Paul Wilkerson here with that speed, hey, he's gonna be a burner for our team. And I think Paul, he's gonna be a great partner in crime. And we can get his development trade up very quickly. You know, he's gonna be a good player for our offense. And now, because of the fact that we don't select for a little while now, let's just finish out the 1st round and then we're gonna simulate to the 3rd round here. So KC, with the 28th overall pick, who do they go with? They go with Dakota Crockton, an outside linebacker here. Green Bay's on the clock. Larry Anderson, a defensive end. The Colts here, they draft Chase Hunt here. He's a good off-ball linebacker. The of Las Vegas Raiders, who did they go with? Timmy Batcher, an outside linebacker. And then the Super Bowl winners, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who did they draft here? DeMarcus Hardley. So now, you know, we don't select into pretty much the middle stage of the 2nd round. So let's just kind of go, I'm gonna just sim to our pick and then we'll just see who's on the board. So now here we are at in the 3rd round. I don't know who's been drafted, so let's go check out the available board. And right now, you know, there is Josh Williams, the corner that our GM told us to take a look at. But right here, you know, if we're looking at this, you know, let's look at linebacker. You know, there isn't a guy that I really like. You know, Roman here, he's probably a linebacker that we could draft. Wouldn't mind drafting him. Maybe we look at our favorites. Maybe that's what I should be looking at. That would be smart, Lar. You know, I still have 46 players on my board. Not gonna draft a quarterback. We drafted an offensive lineman. We could go a running back here and add another dynamic back to our offense. We could draft a tight end. Or do we go after, you know, we're here in the 3rd round. So, you know, I think right here, we go after either a running back, get our 3rd back of the roster, or we go get a tight end. And we kind of just continue to go heavy on this offense. We've yet to draft a defensive player. Yeah, I think we go running back here. Yeah, let's go with my favorite back. Carl Finley here, 5'9". He should have some solid speed here. Let's go check that out. You know, he should have some solid speed, but he's more of a power guy. And I think Carl could add that 3rd type of back to our roster. So here in the third round, we'll go with Carl. And Carl comes out here with 90 speed, but normal dev. He's 23 years old. But I like Carl as a runner. I think he can help out our team. And we've really helped out a ton of our offense. We've got a quarterback, an offensive lineman, a wide receiver, and a running back. I think we should focus a little bit on the defense now. Maybe get a linebacker or something here in the third round. Maybe we go after Roman as we sim to our other third round pick here. As we will be checking quickly checking out this board. Let's go see the board real quick. Who are my favorites? Right now, 41 players are still on this board. You know, I think right here... Now, the thing is this. We only have... This is our last pick. And then we have a 6 and a 7. And if we draft a fullback, you know, that's one of the picks. So we won't be able to potentially draft another player to help out the defense. So I think right here we actually trade out. I think we trade out of this pick. You know, there are a few players in this range. And, you know, maybe we trade out, try to get a couple draft picks. Let's just see. The trade logic in this game is probably terrible. And we get some third round picks. Philadelphia's offering a bunch of picks. The Colts wouldn't work with them. We would get 2 4s here. This would be interesting with Atlanta. Let's do this pick. Let's get a couple 4s for this year's draft class, and we'll use these picks to help out the defense. So we accept this trade here. So now we start here. Now let's sim to the 4th round. We have 2 4th round picks, early 4 round picks too. And I think right here, I don't want to let him go any further. I don't know if he's been drafted any. If he's been drafted, that's a problem. But Roman Nova here out of Tennessee here. He has good speed, good zone coverage. He has elite speed. He's the fastest linebacker in the class. Let's draft him, help out our defense a little bit. And he comes out with hidden development here with 91 speed. Yeah, he's an excellent, what's it called? An excellent athlete here. With the hidden dev, that's really good too. So we're getting some potentially good value here in the 4th round. We have another pick, as we're just going to kind of send these next 2 selections as Washington and Chargers each take a tackle and a linebacker. But I think right here, we're going to go out and get one of these pass rushers that I like. There is, I don't remember. I gotta have to look at them real quick. They are UDFAs. Carl Brooks is one of them that I really like. That is not what I wanted to look at. I wanted to go to right ends. Carl Brooks or Steven Dalton here. Those were the 2 players that I really liked. They're both UDFAs. Now, Steven Dalton's 5'11". Let's just look at him real quick. So he's more of a power rusher with good tackling. He's probably more just a complete pass rusher. In terms of anything. But Dalton, he would be interesting. But Carl Brooks, let's look at him. He might be more of a complete player. Again, well, you know, they're both 5'11" here. He has good... Let's go with Dalton here in the 2nd or in the 4th round. He would help out our depth in terms of pass rusher. He should help out the team. And he comes out here with hidden development. I did not expect this here in the 4th round. So far, I believe we've only hit on 4 hidden development players, I believe, or maybe 5 right now. We're doing great here in this draft process. As now we have a 6th round pick and a 7th to work with. Well, here in the 6th round, I think we go get our fullback. I think we do. But let's just look at the available board, or let's look at our favorites. There's still 16 or 15 players. I mean, I think I saw him. Carl Brooks is still there. I mean, we could draft Carl if we really wanted to. But I think here in the 6th round, we all know that I really want to draft Christian Thomas here, and we're gonna draft him. You know, 6 foot, 22 years old, out of Auburn. Let's draft a new fullback. 76 speed, 76 strength. Maybe not the best fullback we've drafted, but hey, Christian here, he's gonna be a solid fullback, and he's gonna be a day 1 starter for us. And now we have one more pick to make here. We have the 7th here in the 7th round. What do you do? You drafted a fullback here in the 6th round. There's still 13 players on the board. You know, we could still get Carl Brooks. So Brooks is in play here. I think the only way I do not draft Carl is if I think that there's a punter or a kicker here that we should draft instead, because we haven't touched specialists at all. So we still have Fairbairn and Johnson, and Fairbairn would be the guy that I would replace. You know, I just don't see anyone when I'm looking at just these top 3. You know, Bob Rogers here, you know, he has a kick accuracy. Does this tell me his does it tell me his power anywhere? Because I have no idea. I don't look at kickers. Decent. Okay, yeah, no, you know what, let's double up a pass rusher. Let's go get another pass rusher, help out this defense a little bit more. Carl Brooks, he's also another power rusher, 23 years old, out of Ole Miss, also 5'11" here. And he comes also here with a hidden development player. Wow. So we just hit on we hit on all 3 of their defensive players were all hidden devs, so they were all coming here in the 4th round. So these players, we might have just had one of the best draft classes here on the channel after this. Holy cannoli. But that is the draft. I'm not looking to trade back into this draft class here. And we got a lot of positional groups here. Now, the thing is this. We did hit on a lot of development traits. We got a lot of that. We helped this team out a ton. But the thing is this. You know, as you guys are going to see this live as I'm going to be bringing it up, who knows how the overalls will look at, and when you immediately look at these overalls here, they're looking good. Well, let's start with Mason Pryor here. 74 overall here, scrambler archetype. Well, we know he's more of a scrambling type of quarterback, and he looks very good from day one. From an athletic standpoint, he should be a lot of fun to work with. I'll be editing these players just to make them look more fun. But Mason here, he looks like a good quarterback, and I'm excited to play with number 15. I don't know. Let me know down below if you guys wanted him to be number 15. Tevin Booth here, the guard dash tackle. Okay, skill set wise, man, it's all right around the same. You know, finesse run and he's just not the best run blocker, but as a pass blocker, he's very good, and we need that. And I'm happy with the selection of Booth. Paul Wilkerson coming out here with a 76 overall, normal dev, but speed, deep route running. He is going to be a difference maker for our offense. Very excited to play with Paul Wilkerson. Carl Finley here, you know, also normal development here. Very good speed. He's a good athlete. Maybe not the best hands. Is he more of a power back? No, he's just an elusive runner here. So he should be a good number 3 runner, as he's just kind of going to be a depth player for us. Roman Nova here out of Tennessee. You know, came down here with the development trait here, so he's going to be interesting. 69 zone coverage, so that's really good. 91 speed as well. Very fun. Maybe not the best run stopper, but Roman here, he's going to be good for our defense. Steven Dalton here in the 4th round, also coming out with a development trait. This is going to be fun. 76 power moves. Maybe not the best finesse rusher. He's not strong, but hey, from a pass rushing standpoint, he's going to be fun. We might actually have a little bit of a rotation to work with. Christian Thomas coming out here with a 62 overall. Yeah, hey, you know what? We'll get him his touches. He will play a significant role in our offense. Carl Brooks finishes out our draft class here, and we finish out with a 70 overall. Another good power moves. Another just overall a good pass rusher. You know, and none of these guys are injury prone either. But our 2 pass rushers at the end of the class, they're more pass rushers, not run stoppers. So that's going to be very interesting. But we got some good rotational players. We got some good starters. I think we got 3 day 1 starters to help the offense. we helped this team a lot here in the offseason. Let's go check out quickly who we missed out on. So, you know, we decided not to trade up here in this draft class. You know, I talked about Carl Graham a lot. I liked him as a prospect. Also 76 overall, came down with a development trait. From an all-around receiver, he's probably the best in this class. But I still like Paul a lot. You know, Zach Perman here coming out with a 76 overall. Wow, he goes out there with normal dev. That's tough. But 80 finesse moves day one. That would have been huge to help out our defense. So kind of wishing that we'd made that move, to be honest with you guys, even though we hit on 2 good pass rushers. Ross Finley here. Came down with hidden dev. He was my favorite tackle. I probably liked him the most just because of his strength, but hey, I still like Booth a lot too. I think Booth can play both. Is there any other guys here? As I'm just looking at Harry Crow going to Philly. Didn't Philly draft a corner too? I don't remember. Yeah, they drafted Andrew. Where is Andrew? He came down here with a 74 overall, normal dev too. Wow, there's still a lot of normal dev players, but that 95 speed, man, he would have been a fun outside corner for us. But you know what? Grady Williams will have to prove himself for us. But wow, there's a lot of good players in this class. This class was loaded with prospects. I think there's one more player that I just kind of want to look at, and that is John Duke here. 74 overall, normal dev as well, but good zone coverage day one, 88 speed, pure linebacker, day one starter, 100%. Kind of wish we drafted him too. Let's see the highest overall. That's Harry Crow at 80 overall. This was a fantastic draft class in reality. You know, we hit on a lot of prospects, but I bet if you looked around the league, there is a lot of good teams drafting a lot of good players. But Harry Crow here, best player in this year's draft class, and Philadelphia snagged him up, I believe, with like a 24th overall. But before we sim to the next week, I do kind of just want to quickly look at our divisional rivals. Who did they add? So the Colts, you know, Chase Hunt here. They added a good tight end, good corner, a couple other good players. They added a lot of good players too. Drafted a quarterback here, so that's a good class for them. Jacksonville. Let's see, who do they ask? Ross Finley. They got a steal here in the second round. Jeff Parman here at 77 overall, a good playmaker, 91 speed, very good playmaker for this offense. They've added a pass rusher, corner, some solid players, some solid depth. And then who else is in our division? The Titans. And Tennessee, they added a good tackle, a good pass rusher. Kenny Hill, he was a player on my board that I liked. He came down with a hidden dev. But he should be, he's going to be a good player next to Jeffrey Simmons. So they added, our divisional rivals got just better as well. And they also added a good running back, Eric Kyle here, good power back. So they added more power to their backfield. But guys, what do you think of the first offseason here in the Houston Texans franchise rebuild, as we're going to sim to the next week here into preseason? But what did you guys think of the offseason? Did you guys like the moves that I made? Did you like the decisions that I made in terms of adjusting the roster, in terms of both the drafting and in free agency? I know it's going to be a little bit of an interesting take here, but you know, I think in terms of offense, you know, we are built to run the football, and we now have multiple receivers that could get open here. Now, is it a quarterback battle? It is. I'm going to make it a quarterback battle, at least for right now, between Davis Mills and Mason Pryor here in preseason. Of course, we all know I like Mason a lot. We'll see what he can do. I will go out after I do this recording here and bring in some UDFAs and stuff like that. But hey, I think we helped out this offensive line a lot. Defensively, I think we got a lot better too. We got a good linebacker, good pass rushers. We should be able to get to the quarterback more. We should be able to stop teams. Hey, this team overachieved this past season, and I think we're prime to continue to win. Now, we did add band-aids to help the interior of this defensive line. We didn't really go out there and get there's players on this team that we're expecting to take the next step. That's like Christian Harris, Nova, one of these two young pass rushers we drafted. There's a lot of players on this roster that are still question marks. But for this up and coming season here in 2023, I think they're going to be very good. So guys, again, what did you think of this offseason? I really like the moves we made. I like the decisions we went into to help this team out. I think it's going to be a very fun year 2 for the Houston Texans franchise rebuild. So guys, please leave a like, comment down below what you thought, and don't forget to subscribe. And I will see you in the next one.